Hello, I'm Riley Lachuk here in the CBC Manitoba newsroom. Let's get you caught up on the federal election here in our province. We have 14 ridings to get to. Of course, one of the major themes across the country has been the collapse of the NDP. We'll get into what that means for our province just ahead. But first, we'll start with a major gain for the Liberals.
I'm Alana Cole in the Winnipeg West riding. Liberal candidate and physician Doug A. Olson started his day working a shift in an emergency department. He ended it being elected to represent this riding in Ottawa.
I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the people of Winnipeg West for placing their trust in me by once again electing me as your Member of Parliament. Thank you. I promise I will be your voice in Ottawa. I will always remember that above all, I will be there to work for you.
A. Olson won in this riding in 2015. He was defeated by Marty Morantz in 2019 and 2021. Boundaries changed for the 2025 election. Alana Cole, CBC News, Winnipeg.
I'm Ian Fraze in Elmwood, Transcona, where the Conservatives picked up a seat the NDP has held for a decade. Electrician Colin Reynolds won this East Winnipeg riding. The media wasn't allowed inside his headquarters to hear his speech, but the NDP's Leela Dan said in her address, her work of helping people isn't over.
Today might not have been what we were hoping for, but I know I personally am going to keep giving back to this community the way I have for my whole life. And I hope that you guys will continue to give back.
Dans told reporters afterwards that vote splitting may have cost her bid for re-election. In last year's by-election, the Liberals only got around 5% of the vote. This time around, they got around 20%. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Another major flip we've seen in Manitoba comes outside the city. Churchill Kiiwetinoong Aski flipping from the NDP to the Liberal Party this time around, with Rebecca Chartrand winning there. This is a blow to the NDP. Incumbent NDP MP Nikki Ashton was first elected there in 2008. Now, the NDP did manage to hold on to one of its Winnipeg seats, with Leah Gazan being re-elected in Winnipeg Centre.
I'm Josh Crabb in Winnipeg Centre at Leah Gazan's campaign office, where she celebrated re-election with volunteers and supporters in this NDP stronghold. It was a bittersweet night for Gazan. She won her riding and will return to the House of Commons for a third term, but the NDP suffered losses both nationally and provincially.
This was a hard night for us as the NDP. But here's the thing. We were in the fight of our life in Winnipeg Centre. And you know why we won? We won because we believe in human rights at the centre in Winnipeg Centre.
Gazan held off Liberal challenger Rahul Walia, who came second place. She says one of the big issues she'll be fighting for in Ottawa is affordable housing. Josh Crabb, CBC News, Winnipeg.
I'm Rosanna Hempel, and I'm here in the riding of Winnipeg North, where Kevin Lamberer has been re-elected for a fifth time. More than 100 people cheered as Lamberer took the stage with his family, including his daughter Cindy Lamberer, who is the area MLA for Tyndall Park. Lamberer claimed about 57% of the vote, while NDP support collapsed, unlike in the last two federal elections when they were the runner-up party. The Conservative candidate garnered around 35% of the vote. Lamberer says the election night results are exciting and a relief. He says he didn't take his support for granted.
What I have found is it doesn't necessarily matter the position that you hold in the House of Commons. It's what you do with the position that you receive in the House of Commons that really matters, and you can always be a strong advocate for your constituents.
Lamberer says heading back to Ottawa, he's focused on healthcare and Manitoba's economy and trade in the face of American tariffs. Rosanna Hempel, CBC News, Winnipeg.
I'm Bartley Kivas at Nicolino's restaurant in Winnipeg South. A perfect bellwether riding in Canada. Since this riding was created, it has always elected a candidate from the party that ends up winning on election night. No different tonight. Terry Duguid, the Liberal incumbent, wins a 4th straight election here. He says this was a decisive victory.
I don't know what the exact result is tonight, but I think we've won pretty handily, and it is because of all of the hard work at the doors in the community.
Duguid defeated Conservative candidate Janice Morley-Lecomte. Morley-Lecomte was a member of Heather Stephenson's PC government. It went down to a very large defeat at the hands of Wabkinu's NDP in 2023. Duguid, nonetheless, praised Morley-Lecomte as a very hard worker. Bartley Kivas, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, let's take you to Brandon now. A bit of an interesting race in Brandon Surus, which had no incumbent after Conservative MP Larry Maguire bowed out due to health reasons. Former Spruce Woods MLA Grant Jackson was chosen by the Conservative Party to run here. This is a very safe Conservative riding, with Larry Maguire winning about 60% of the vote in 2021, and a pretty decisive win for the Conservatives again here, with more than 2/3 of the vote, with the Liberals and NDP in a distant second and third.
Well, Larry Maguire has been an excellent member of Parliament for Brandon Surus. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And he's been a friend and a mentor to me. We are different people, and so I'm sure you'll find as time goes on that we will do parts of the job differently, but there's certainly a mentorship there, and I don't think that constituents will feel that there's a huge change in their representation. I want to be there for them. I want to be present in every community. I want to make sure that I'm hearing their issues directly and taking those directly to the floor of the House of Commons. That's my commitment to the voters of Brandon Surus, and I want to get that done.
Let's stay in rural Manitoba, take you next door now to Riding Mountain. Conservative incumbent Dan Mazur claiming his seat again here, first elected in 2019. He took over from Conservative Robert Sopuck, who retired. The Selkirk Interlake Eastmen, another what's considered safe seat for the Conservatives, and James Bazan re-elected to another term. He was re-elected in this riding in 2004. He won in 2021 with about 60% of the vote. To Portage-Lisgar, incumbent Conservative Brandon Leslie re-elected here, the Liberals finishing in a distant second. Of note, in 2021, Maxime Bernier of the People's Party actually came in second in this riding, albeit a distant second. Leslie won that one in 2021 as well, with more than 2/3 of the vote. In Provencher, this is another riding where the PPC came in second to the Conservatives in 2021. This riding has voted Conservative consistently since 2000 when Vic Taves was elected. Ted Falk was re-elected for the Conservatives here once again. In Winnipeg South Centre, incumbent Liberal Ben Carr was among 7 candidates running in this riding. He won this one for the Liberals pretty decisively again, with more than half the vote. This riding has been Liberal since 2015.
Liberalism is alive and strong on the prairies. There has always been a very strong Liberal base in Manitoba, and sometimes, as you know, it takes the right conditions, the right candidates, the right environment in order for some of that to break through.
And finally, St. Boniface St. Vital. This is another riding where there was no incumbent. Liberal MP Dan Vandel did not run again here. Jeanette Levac managing to hold onto this riding for the Liberals. This is a seat that the Liberals have held on and off over the years, but have kept it red since 2015. Now, as of late last night, there was still one riding in Manitoba that was too close for our decision desk to call, that being Kildonan St. Paul. Raquel Dancho, the Conservative incumbent there, ahead with only a few polls left to count. That is one that we'll be watching throughout the day. And that is the latest from the CBC Manitoba Newsroom. You can find news updated anytime, the latest on the election, analysis, and context by heading to cbc.ca/Manitoba. Stay with us.